Rice is unique, right? It's one of the few examples where you can have sort of large-scale industrial agriculture and wildlife in the same place. Now, California's lost a huge fraction of its wetlands, like 95% in the Central Valley. So keeping farmers flooding their rice in winter is really, really important for wildlife. So the goal of this project is basically to understand, could we come up with any incentives for the farmers to continue flooding into the future, continue to provide this really essential habitat? And then we put out a call looking for kind of the perfect student that could lead this gigantic project. And we found Emily.
And so then we're stocking fish at the same density, like just in the full field.
We are introducing fish, a small bait fish, golden shiner, into flooded rice fields in California to answer 3 questions. We want to see how they interact with water birds, how these fish might benefit farmers, and we also want to see if these fish might be able to decrease greenhouse gas outputs in the rice fields.
We want to track their growth and we want to look at their survival throughout the experiment. We had about 10,000 fish and we needed about a third of them tagged.
It was a really, really big push to pit tag 3,000 fish. We relied on a ton of really wonderful volunteers. We can kind of estimate growth and survival over time because of that ratio of pit tagged to not pit tagged fish.
Be free!
And we introduced these into 4 of our experimental plots so that we can kind of compare like plots that don't have fish to plots that do have fish. And now we're taking a bunch of data in the fields that'll hopefully help us answer our questions. So, big effort. Today we're just looking at our zooplankton that we took from the fields. Abby is going through and quantifying, looking at the densities of these zooplankton, and that'll help us understand what the fish are eating in the rice fields. As we increase the amount of fish that we introduce into the fields, this will decrease the zooplankton as they graze them down. This will increase the zooplankton's food source, which is a methanotrophic bacteria, which then consumes methane. So hopefully by increasing the amount of fish or adding a lot of fish into the rice fields, we'll then decrease the methane outputs in the fields.
There's a nauplii right there.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what they look like.
Oh, they're so cute.
Yeah.
From a preliminary data perspective, we are seeing good fish growth in these plots. One of the things that we want to evaluate is whether this practice of introducing fish to fields could almost be used as a second crop for farmers. Golden shiners are not native, but they're used as a bait fish and they're in high demand by fishers. We also have some preliminary data from the methane, and we're still working through that, so it is preliminary, but it does look like the fish are reducing methane emissions, which is a pretty astounding and amazing result. It's what we were hoping to see, what we thought we might see, but to actually begin to see the data come in that direction is really exciting.
I really like working on this project. I think it's really unique, looking at conservation in agriculture, and it's where I think we could make this really huge impact potentially.